Hey, welcome back. Welcome. While Sarah paces back and forth hastily in her cell, hoping that her family law closing arguments made it on time, let's talk about her new attorney. After Brian Boone already submitted his closing arguments immediately, almost right after court, Sarah, on the other hand, still is taking her time. She is maintaining and focusing on what she's going to write. And hopefully she made it on time so that we can enjoy her letter. Oh, and speaking of closing arguments, Georgia Kappelman from Donna Adelson's trial, she wore her lucky red suit for court and she didn't miss again. But she did a after court press conference and she hinted around, she avoided the questions about Wendy Adelson. She actually said that was a bad word. Don't say that. She said that the W word. Any reporters don't say the W word. When one reporter tried to ask her, will Wendy be next? She said, oh, don't be that guy. Why are you asking that type of question? She was playing so coy. I really believe that she has something up her sleeve. And they asked her about the WhatsApp messages, and she said they didn't have those messages during Charlie's trial. So they had a lot of new evidence for Donna's trial. Also, for Donna's trial, Harvey was implicated in communicating with the prison sunshines. So I don't know what that means for Harvey, but what was funny is Georgia said they transported Charlie all the way down here and got him a meal. He got a little sunlight, got his toe stumped. If you missed our live earlier, Charlie had some trouble over at Leon County. He got his toe stumped and he went berserk. But he came all the way here and Georgia didn't even want him to testify. She said she didn't want to wrangle and tangle with Charlie. She preferred to just debunk his whole extortion plot without him there. So if Charlie planned on getting on stand and selling his story, I'm sure he's told himself this story all day, driving in the van, all day in his cell, all week. I bet he had a story all made up because it affects his appeal as well. But Georgia said, no, thank you. We don't need you to testify, Charlie. You can go ahead and stay at Leon County and avoid Luis Rivera because they're both at the same facility since Luis testified, actually. Now, Luis testified for Donna, but against Donna, but Charlie didn't. And they were trying to keep them away from each other in the prison. According to the behavior notes from Leon County, we went over in the live last night. And thank you guys for hanging out. Whoever was on the live last night at about 2 a.m. California time. I was just hanging out on YouTube and decided to scroll with you guys and read some stuff. So we'll go through that video at the end of Sunday Funday. But right now, we're going to get back to Sarah Boone. Pro se inmate Boone. Your Honor, forgive me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best. And sidebar, you see the photo of the family hearing and you see me sitting on top of Sarah? Yay, that's me right there. Okay, now Judge Cranick responded finally to Sarah's attorney, her former attorney's order on motion to withdraw and an order appointing appellate counsel. So we have a new motion from Judge Cranick. This cause having come before the court on the motion to withdraw and request for the appointment of new appellate counsel, and the court having been fully advised in the premises, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that Joshua Adams, Esquire, is hereby allowed to withdraw from further representation of the defendant in the above styled cause, and Rodrigo Caruco, Esquire, is hereby appointed to represent the defendant in this case. Done and ordered. In chambers at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of September 2024. So, September 5th, right after the holiday, Judge Cranick responded to the motion and he allowed Josh his freedom. So, Josh is free. Do you think Josh will wait a couple of weeks before he starts taking court-appointed cases again? You think he'll take a year, or you think he'll get right back in the fold? And is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to say that he is no longer going to practice court-appointed cases and change his mind later? Any of my lawyer people, let me know in the comments. But for now, Josh is free. And after that scathing letter that Sarah wrote about him not answering her calls and he's not communicating with her, and he had already submitted everything he needed. Oh, Sarah, yeah, I think Josh was already seeing down the pipeline what Sarah had coming for him, and he was ready to jump ship as he did. So we have Josh out and Rodrigo in. And on last night's live, we looked over a little bit of Rodrigo's mission statement, and he seems like a really caring person, and he gives back. He's served the community and the country, and it seems like Sarah, just like with Patricia bitch ass Cashman, got a good attorney, so hopefully she doesn't run this one off. Josh seemed like he was great too. His entire family, from his Instagram, what I saw, his entire family, they practice law. So, and he was raised to practice law, so he seems to love law. So she already lost one good appellate attorney, so hopefully she doesn't run this one off. Negative earned. I could be a bit overzealous, but they're definitely going to be dancing with the dog. So, Rodrigo, we wish you the best of luck. Now, let's go hang out at the court building and see Georgia give her winning statement after the trial. There's a few things I want you to take notice of. Mainly that Georgia just toyed with the idea that Wendy could be the next Adelson. She just told him, you have to stay tuned and watch. You just have to wait to see. And she had a big smile on her face. Let's get this party started. Now, first and foremost, if there were a theme song that I could think of, it would be We Are the Champions. As Georgia walked out, look at her protege in the back just smiling. You can see the Markells in the back too peeking out. They're just so happy. I can imagine after a decade, look at Ruth back there with her glasses on. She looks so cute in her court outfit. I can imagine that they are very, very close after a decade of crime fighting. Georgia is a superhero. The detectives are back there. Everyone is back there just so happy and proud. Now, listen to what this reporter inquires from Georgia Cappleman. It bothered a lot of us watching when Donna's attorneys called Dan Markel Danny, and even Wendy. It seems really condescending and cruel, actually, when she calls him Danny after what her family did to him. In real life, she was calling him gibberish or gibbers or something rude like that. So listen to the reporter and how Georgia responds.
Georgia, opening statements right out of the gate. Jackie Fulford appropriated Professor Markel's nickname, calling him Danny. A lot of people were upset about that. Did that bother you?
Not as much as it bothered some other folks. I understood what she was trying to do. It was not the classiest move, and I think she kind of realized that and seemed to correct that over the course of the trial. But yeah, probably not a great move.
So we the people weren't the only ones that were bothered by that whole Danny fiasco, because it just seemed really performative. And Georgia also went to dive into Donna's defense and how she made sure to make a map to let the jury see very clear, to put the puzzle pieces together, that it was a loser of defense. And those are her exact words. She said she wanted her to stick to it. Since she said that she was being extorted, she had to stick to it and pick a lane. But Georgia was salivating at the fact that Donna was going to testify. She thought that she was going to testify. She actually said she was shocked that she didn't. Listen to what she had to say to the reporter.
So, yeah, I was a little surprised. She seems like somebody that would want to tell her story, but it gets trickier and trickier when all these stories are out there, and she would have had to navigate a lot of stuff to get up there. So I do understand why she made the decision she did, and I think it was a smart one, but I was kind of expecting her to testify.
What do you guys think? Did you expect Donna to testify too? I did. I thought she totally was going to go the Sarah Boone route and get on that stand and dry cry her eyes out and tell her side of the story. But she didn't. This decision is going to affect the rest of my life. Judge Everett was having none of it. Georgia also said that Donna pretty much handed her the case. With the whole Vietnam thing, Donna could have simply said, yeah, we were going to go to Vietnam because we were scared to get arrested. We saw what happened to our kids and we were scared. We were going to go, but we didn't do anything bad. We were just scared. But she said Donna oversold it when it was totally obvious that she was trying to flee. So that just was suspicious, and it gave her the impression that she was running. And I think in court that's like an assumption of guilt when you're going to run or you try to cover up a crime scene, and it's just an assumption of guilt, like you did something wrong. So also, as far as Donna's planner, it was pure luck that they found Dan Markel's license plate and car detail information. She said Donna had tons of planners that she wrote everything in detail. So they didn't have this information at Charlie's trial, but they happened to be thumbing through the journals, and one of the interns found Dan Markel's license plate number and his car make and model written down in Donna's planner around the time of the shooting. So that was another thing that was like a smoking gun for Donna. And as far as Robert, Donna's eldest son, whom she rolled her eyes when she heard his name in Ruth's impact statement, when Ruth said, your eldest son, Robert, you're no longer able to see his children, she said, oh, and rolled her eyes back and broke character for just a second. But Georgia said that she really didn't want Robert to testify, but she felt that it was imperative during this trial just to let the jury know the impact of Donna's involvement in the case and just what she did, how deep it was, how she was involved, that she wasn't just this little sweet Jewish grandmother, that she was actually a malicious murdering grandmother. So Robert could have testified at Charlie's trial, but Georgia saved him, which makes me believe that she's also saving something for Wendy. And is she just gonna let Harvey ride out into the sunset and enjoy the single life? We'll have to stay tuned. Georgia played so coy when it came to Wendy. There was a reporter who inquired about Wendy's involvement in possible future arrest. And listen to what Georgia said. His question is, Georgia, does Wendy have anything to be worried about tonight?
Georgia, does Wendy have reason to be worried tonight?
You said that word. That's a bad word.
A bad word.
No W questions.
Worried is a bad word? Well, that's not. Should we say stay tuned? Do we need to stay tuned?
You can stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So the mere fact that she doesn't even want to answer anything about Wendy, what do you guys think about that? Is she planning a sneak attack like with Donna? Wendy, in my opinion, is definitely under surveillance right now. They're definitely watching and listening to her, just like with Donna, to see how she's going to react. So Wendy is a clever one. I believe she'll just go on business as usual. Georgia's going to have to catch her in a real good one. I can't wait to see this game of cat and mouse. Let's head back to family court and dive into a letter Sarah wrote Judge Dean about Brian. She's ripping into Brian, simultaneously asking him to take care of her. It's very strange to see. Now, the letter she wrote reads, I am not helpless nor giving up in any way or in anything, especially regarding my son and our life together futuristically. Former husband needs to destroy the crystal ball and don't quit his day job when he has one. I'm sure undeniably by having one also and not relying on his parents' millions, his quote economic circumstances would most definitely improve in so many ways. So Sarah is saying that Brian needs to get a job and stop depending on his parents' millions so that his economic circumstances could improve to provide for her and give her 13-cent a minute calls, delicious delights, jumping Java, and unlimited text, call, and visits. I am me, and I am trying relentlessly forever. I believe in myself and am confident in God. I will get through this. We all will. This is not forever either, my circumstances or remaining life. Stop trying to make it. I am hoping former husband can understand and cooperate as unobtrusive and cordial as possible in order for everyone's life to be successful and happy. This includes me also. Sarah, I think that Brian and Little Man already have a pretty happy, successful life. They've moved on. Please send copies so I know when the new hearing is scheduled so I can plan accordingly and know what to plan on. Please understand too, we inmates are waking up at 3 a.m. They kick her bunk. Sit in 3 or 4 holding cells for 10 to 14 hours when going to court for 30 minutes of your time. So it's also a physical preparation on top of the mental. I very much would like to be ready. Please. Negative earned. Now Sarah still wants to talk about her heirlooms, so she's going to tell Judge Dean about her heirlooms too. Per my attempted conversation today to ask former husband when was he going to reschedule our son's dental appointment and when will he really, quote, be ordering the small food package for her medical snacks, I've now been waiting on for 10 weeks and counting. This was his abrupt, comical, demanding response, quote, I need to find someone to get my stuff/junk out of the garage and into a storage somewhere. However, they're finally leaving. When trying to process what he just dropped on me and talk to him about it, I was told it's not his problem. I said, Brian, I'm in jail, as he likes to remind me of daily. It's not that easy, especially when I have no one, no money or resources, which he knows. He said while laughing, quote, I know, still not my problem. Anything left behind will be put in a garage sale or donated. These belongings are some of the heirlooms my deceased family and gave me, and the only things I have of them to remember. Also baby books, antiques, etc. All of my important, meaningful, historical belongings. I'm incredibly frustrated with his continued ignorance in trying to tell me what's happening, when, where, regarding anything for my case. Please remember the primary reason former husband wants to move and has blatantly laughed at me about repeatedly is because, quote, it's more convenient for him since they're moving down the street from the prison. So disgusting. This very hurtful, brazen, self-proclaiming assumption is said regularly to me and has been already sent in my previously undeniable concerns. She's been complaining to the judge. My undeniable concerns more than once. How ugly and wrong. So she's upset that Brian was saying that they're moving closer to the prison in anticipation of her being sentenced to life. So she's saying that that's ugly and mean because in her mind, she's not going to the prison. Just like she's awaiting her successful appeal and release. Excuse me, everyone is forgetting that my appeal is coming up and I'll be home soon. Oh, Sarah, let's get this party started. My wife's situation has undermined her role in the child's life. Let me tell you that one more time. While Mr. Boone is not presently seeking to terminate the former wife's parental rights, this principle underscores how profoundly the former wife's situation has undermined her role in the child's life. Absolutely. How can she expect to have the same privileges as an active parent that is there every day, as a nurse, a doctor, a chauffeur, a coach, a captain, a chef, a housekeeper, a therapist? Parents wear so many hats, and she thinks that she can do that over the phone from close confinement?
Do you have any concerns about her decision-making ability?
Oh, of course.
Okay. What are some of those decisions, or some of those issues, that the specific issues you have with her decision-making ability?
I don't think she makes good decisions, even without the alcohol. I think she has some problems that need to be worked on.
Okay. And when she was not incarcerated, prior to incarceration, what was the time-sharing schedule on paper that you two had?
It was a 50-50. One of us was Monday, Tuesday. The other one was supposed to be Wednesday, Thursday, and then we alternated Friday through Sunday.
Okay. And prior to her incarceration, was she exercising all of the overnights that she
No, it was about 30%, and it was sporadic as to kind of when she felt like it. Not even on days she was supposed to. She wouldn't have him for like a week and a half. And then she'd be like, I want to have him tonight and tomorrow night. And I'd be like, well, those are my days. And she's like, well, I haven't seen him in over a week.
I hope Rodrigo knows that he has a lot of dancing with the dogs to do. Brian sounds so confident. He looked very strong and like he's broken away from Sarah and her drama. Now he just has to get this final chapter closed and Sarah can move on to her new victims. Hear Me Out and Classified Crime and Larry Powers, hey, did a live yesterday behind the scenes about the court hearing. And you can see photos of Brian, and he did lose weight. He looks tall and slim, and he looked just like he was ready for this whole thing to be over. Go head over to Hear Me Out and check it out. Now for my favorite part, let's read some comments. You guys were on fire in the comments this week. The 13 cents, the family hearing really got everyone in an uproar. I can imagine what the 5-page closing is going to do to us all. Just as we get our ducks in a row and get familiar with the new appellate attorney, I'm sure Sarah's going to come and ruffle our feathers. But to tell the truth says, Sarah is so abusive in her tone. She's so angry she can't settle down. Ask Brian questions she would love to have answered in front of the judge. The only person in authority to help her get some of the things she thinks she's entitled to. It's crazy to me. Sarah thinks that she has to be on constant attack to prove a point. As I said before, Sarah's proving Brian silent but strong. Point of why neither he or Little Man wants to answer her calls, why Little Man feels he can reserve the right to choose when he'll speak with Sarah, his former mother. Brian has the right to speak to Sarah. Brian has the right to privacy. Sarah has nothing to do with how Brian spends his money, even if it is millions of his parents' money that they give him. The key phrase here is how Brian spends his money, as Sarah claims she doesn't have any. It's only 13 cents a minute and you're going to stop it because of this silly murder charge? As Sarah classifies it as only 13 cents a minute when when she doesn't pay anything towards her talking to her son, since it's not a significant amount to Sarah. Right, since it's only 13 cents a minute. Let her pay it? Question. The audacity of this imbecile is beyond my grasp. We can all see why Brian is fed up with Sarah. Hopefully, after that day's performance, the judge will be able to see as well. It's Brian that decides what he does with his money, and how he spends his money is no concern of Sarah legally. We understand she thinks it's her concern to question Brian, even chastise him when she strongly feels he's in error, because he will no longer support her whims. No more handles and no more out of the negative for you, Sarah. Perhaps this is something the judge should boldly remind Sarah of. She's on her own. She and Brian are legally divorced. That means his money is not hers to calculate, summarize as if it were hers. Yes, I think that would be a great idea for someone to inform Sarah of that. She continually inquires about his finances. Where were we? That's it, that's all. Brian is a man, not a boy subject to Sarah's madness. He's trying to distance himself from her, yes, except Sarah uses little man as her right to passage with Brian. She has to stop. There's nothing to manipulate here. She has no rights or opinions to anything that doesn't concern the Florida prison she resides in. Whew, too bad, too sad. I can't wait for the final decisions. Yes, and you can see the comments there on the screen if you want to pause and read, but I thought that was a great one. Yeah, she should turn her inquiries to the Florida prison system. They provide 3 meals a day, but they only provide water, and she'll have to find someone else to provide her medical snacks since Lana is no longer funding it. Her 9 representatives seem to have distanced themselves, and her scissor sisters as well. So moving forward, onward, Christian soldier, moving forward. Sarah's gonna have to fix her helmet and strap it up and go on without Brian. I Like Mitch says, quote, because he is making it seem. No, Sarah, he is not, quote, making it seem. And Angela said, Sarah Boone trying to pass off the 13 cents a minute isn't expensive, yet the devil racks up an enormous amount of, quote, free call on Brian's behalf and can't bring herself to just simply say thank you. Thank you, Brian. Nope, Sarah just keeps taking and taking. I hope a doctor takes on her case study because they'd get a plethora of insight on Sarah Boone behavior and how to surpass a person with her traits. Absolutely. Negative earned. Sarah is absolutely pretending as if 13 cents a minute isn't a lot. Don't forget there's a connection fee. When you pick up the phone, they'll say like, hi, would you like to accept this call? Press this to accept this call. Press this to deny the call. And if you press to accept the call, they'll say there's going to be an initial $5 surcharge fee and 13 cents a minute. So there could be a $5 fee, a $3 fee, and that racks up. And we saw from the call logs and text logs how much Sarah likes to communicate and be involved, invest in the oppressed. And shout out to Kevin. Kevin Brady says, if it's, quote, so cheap, why doesn't old Boozy pay for the calls that nobody wants herself? And Addie is me. I love her insisting on, quote, a simple yes or no answer. The irony is staggering. Shout out to Addie is me. Yes. While Sarah looks for someone to invest in the oppressed, epic opportunities await, as we all know, and you have to be a bit overzealous and a touch of keen. But Sarah is living everything Mama Torres told her at the sentencing that day. She's feeling and experiencing the same pain of losing her son, but her son is now Brian's son and no longer her concern. Other than a thought, she's lost the chance to bond with her son, just as Mama Torres told her. She said, I'm blessed. You're not going to be blessed. I had my son. I have my grandchildren. I love them. They love me. And you're not going to be blessed. And Sarah sat there shaking her head. And one of you in the comment section said that this could be the reason Sarah is fueled so much to get some type of communication or control over her son, just because, to spite Mama Torres, so that she can say that she's still an active parent and she's still benefiting from all of the things an active parent would, you know? So it's just interesting how it all came full circle, and now she feels the exact pain that Mama Torres does. Also, excuse me, where's my water? Also, if Sarah wanted to live the life of a millionaire's wife, then she should have stayed married to former husband. If you made it this far, you know I appreciate you. I hope you're having a happy Sunday fun day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.